Hey everyone, ready to dig into this whole nesting thing.
I'm ready.
So we're going to unpack this urge that so many people feel to clean and organize before a big change.
Yeah.
But today we're really focusing on pregnancy.
Right.
Our source material is this article called The Ultimate Nesting Checklist
Mm.
During Pregnancy.
Okay.
It's from justsiemplymom.com.
Got it.
It was published in 2019 and updated pretty recently in 2024.
Oh, wow.
And what I think is so fascinating is how much more it is to nesting than just scrubbing floors, you know?
It's true.
We're going to explore all the myths and the safety tips and even how it's not just about the stuff, but about mental and emotional readiness too.
Yeah, I mean, it really is like our biology's way of kind of giving us a nudge saying, hey, get ready, big things are coming. But it's interesting how sometimes that can lead to some misconceptions.
Totally.
Oh.
So let's start by defining what nesting actually is.
Okay.
Because it's not just about having a sparkling clean house,
Yeah,
right?
no,
So what is it really?
well, at its core, it's this almost irresistible urge to prepare your home for the baby.
Right.
You can think of it like a biological drive, much like birds building their nests.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
Driven by this deep-seated need to create a safe and clean environment for the vulnerable newborn. It's so funny because you hear people joke about pregnant women suddenly needing to reorganize their entire pantry.
Right.
Is there any hormonal connection to this burst of energy?
There is definitely a hormonal component at play here. The shifts in estrogen and progesterone during pregnancy.
Right.
Those can influence energy levels and even heighten certain senses like smell,
Interesting.
which might explain why some moms-to-be suddenly become hyper-aware of dust bunnies they never even noticed before.
That's so true. And speaking of those cleaning sprees, the article really stressed safety.
Of course.
What should our listener be mindful of when those nesting urges kick in?
Yeah, I mean, pregnancy is not the time to be tackling those heavy-duty cleaning projects or hauling boxes around. Right. Your body is already working overtime growing a human.
For sure.
So avoiding harsh chemicals is key, too.
Good.
Many standard cleaning products,
Yeah.
they contain ingredients that could be potentially harmful during pregnancy.
That's a good point.
The article actually suggests opting for natural alternatives,
Oh, like what?
like vinegar and baking soda.
Oh, interesting.
Remember, it's about working smarter, not harder.
It's like those old school cleaning tips your grandma might have used.
Totally.
All effective and safe.
Exactly.
But the article also emphasizes something that I found particularly interesting.
Okay.
It's not just about cleaning and organizing, right?
Absolutely not. Nesting encompasses this much broader range of activities, all geared toward preparing for the baby's arrival.
Okay.
And that includes preparing yourself,
Okay.
mentally and emotionally.
So it's about getting ready on multiple levels.
Exactly. It's like
Yeah.
creating a holistic nest,
I like that.
so to speak. For example, the checklist includes things like washing baby clothes, meal prepping for those hectic postpartum weeks, and setting up the baby's sleeping area.
Right. And it even includes things that are specifically for the mom's well-being, right?
Yes.
Like putting together a postpartum care kit or packing the hospital bag.
Yes, those tasks are crucial too. It's about recognizing that the transition to parenthood is a huge adjustment, not just for the baby, but for the parents as well.
Totally.
So preparing for your own needs is just as important as preparing for the baby's.
Yeah. It's about recognizing that you need to take care of yourself so you can take care of the baby.
Exactly. Nesting is about creating a supportive environment for the entire family,
I love that.
starting with yourself.
And here's what I found adorable. The article mentions that partners can experience nesting instincts too.
That's right. It's not uncommon for partners to get caught up in that nesting frenzy as well.
Oh, that's so cute.
It's a great opportunity to bond and work together and feel like a team as you prepare for this new chapter.
I love that. It's about sharing the experience and supporting each other through this exciting and sometimes overwhelming time.
Definitely.
Speaking of overwhelming,
Yeah.
I think it's important to emphasize the mental and emotional aspects of nesting that the article highlights.
Yes.
It's not just about the physical tasks, right?
Right.
It's about preparing your mind for the changes ahead.
Exactly.
And the article had some interesting recommendations for that,
Like what?
like taking prenatal classes,
Okay.
learning about breastfeeding, and creating a birth plan.
Yes. Those are all excellent ways to feel more informed and empowered,
Yeah.
It's about gathering knowledge and addressing any anxieties you might have and building confidence as you approach this like major life change.
It's about feeling like you have some sense of control even when things feel unpredictable.
Exactly.
I love how the article encourages you to create not just one, but 3 birth plans.
Oh, tell me more about that.
Okay, so the first plan is your ideal birth scenario.
Okay.
Think low lighting, your favorite playlist,
Yeah,
minimal interventions.
I like it.
The second plan allows for some like adjustments or interventions if necessary,
Okay.
just in case things don't go perfectly according to plan A.
So it's like a backup plan, but for childbirth.
Exactly.
Okay, what about the third plan?
This is where it gets interesting.
Okay.
The third plan outlines what you don't want. By acknowledging potential scenarios you're not comfortable with.
Okay.
You're better equipped to advocate for your preferences and ensure your voice is heard.
That's so smart. It encourages open communication with your healthcare team and helps you feel more prepared even if things take an unexpected turn.
Totally. And what else stood out to me from the article
Okay.
was their advice about newborn clothes.
Okay.
They actually recommend not taking the tags off all the newborn outfits right away
Now that's practical advice. Why is that?
because babies grow so quickly. It's heartbreaking to have like a whole drawer of adorable clothes that your baby outgrows before ever getting to wear them.
That makes perfect sense. It's like a reminder that nesting is about being realistic and adaptable, not just about creating a picture-perfect nursery.
Exactly. And on that note, the article also emphasized the importance of learning about breastfeeding before the baby arrives.
Oh, absolutely. That's key. Knowledge is power when it comes to breastfeeding.
Yeah, they mentioned taking breastfeeding courses,
Mhm.
watching videos, and even suggested checking out online programs like Milkology, which is taught by a certified lactation consultant.
Milkology is fantastic. I've heard great things about it.
Yeah.
It's wonderful that they're highlighting resources like this to support new parents on their breastfeeding journey.
It's all about feeling prepared and confident, even when facing the inevitable challenges that come with breastfeeding.
Exactly. And I think this leads us perfectly to another aspect of nesting the article highlights, preparing to advocate for your needs.
Uh-huh.
They had a great tip about making a list of questions for your doctor.
Oh, that's a great one. It's so easy to get flustered during those prenatal appointments and forget everything you wanted to ask.
Right.
Having a pre-written list can help you feel more prepared and ensure you're getting all the information you need.
It's about feeling empowered to ask questions and address any concerns and actively participate in your healthcare decisions.
Right.
It's like nesting for your peace of mind.
Exactly. It's about creating a sense of confidence and agency as you navigate this incredible journey.
Yes.
But there's another takeaway from the article that really blew my mind.
Okay, I'm all ears. What is it?
It's about a specific resource they recommend for expectant parents who might be feeling a little lost or overwhelmed.
Intriguing. Tell me more.
They suggest checking out an online community called...
Hold on. Before we reveal that incredible resource,
Okay.
let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've uncovered so far.
Okay.
We've talked about the biological basis of nesting,
Mm-hmm.
safety tips for those cleaning sprees,
Right.
the importance of preparing on multiple levels, physical, emotional, and informational,
Yes.
and even the value of partner involvement and advocating for your needs.
It's amazing how much more there is to nesting than meets the eye.
Absolutely. And as we continue our deep dive,
Yes.
we'll explore even more fascinating aspects of this primal urge,
Okay.
from its evolutionary roots to its broader implications for navigating life's transitions.
So stay tuned because there's so much more to unpack.
So much more.
But for now,
Yes.
we want to leave you with a little cliffhanger.
Ooh, a cliffhanger. I like it.
That online community we were about to mention.
Yes.
It's specifically designed to support expectant parents who might be feeling overwhelmed by the sheer amount of information out there.
It's a great resource.
We'll reveal the name and all the details in the next part of our deep dive. But for now, we want to leave you with a thought-provoking question to ponder.
Okay.
Think about your own experiences with nesting, whether in the context of pregnancy or any other major life change.
Okay.
What were some of the things you did to prepare, both practically and emotionally?
Good question.
And what were some of the unexpected challenges or joys you encountered along the way?
We'd love to hear your reflections. Feel free to share your thoughts and insights as we continue our exploration of this fascinating phenomenon.
Until then, happy nesting.
Happy nesting. You know, as we delve deeper into this whole nesting phenomenon,
Yeah.
it really strikes me how much it's about so much more than just physical preparations.
Right. It's like this instinct is capping into something deeper. It's not just about getting the stuff ready, but like getting our minds ready too.
Exactly. And that mental shift,
Yeah.
that preparation for a huge change, well, that's something we can all relate to,
Right.
even if we're not expecting a baby.
So thinking beyond the nursery and the checklists, are there evolutionary reasons why this urge to nest might be so strong?
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, imagine our ancestors, right? Nesting wasn't just about like cute decor. It was about survival.
Wow.
Creating a safe physical space, gathering resources.
Yeah.
All of that increased the chances of a newborn and the mother making it through those vulnerable early days.
Wow. When you put it that way,
Yeah.
it suddenly feels so much more profound than just folding tiny clothes.
It really does. And it makes you think about how, like, those ancient instincts still influence us today,
Right.
even if we're not consciously aware of them.
Okay, so we've got this like biological drive
Huh?
passed down through generations.
Right.
But how does nesting actually play out in the modern world? I mean, we have so many resources and support systems now.
That's a great point. Technology has definitely changed the landscape of nesting.
Yeah.
We've got apps to track contractions,
Oh, yes.
online communities for advice,
Yeah.
virtual baby showers.
Oh, and speaking of those online communities,
Yes.
remember that cliffhanger from the last part?
Oh, yes.
The resource for overwhelmed parents-to-be?
Yes. It's called the Nest Collective.
Oh,
It's a closed online forum where expectant parents can connect with each other,
sure.
share tips, ask questions, and basically just like vent and celebrate this wild ride together.
That's brilliant. It's like having a virtual village right at your fingertips. I bet it's especially helpful for first-time parents who might be feeling a little lost in the sea of baby information.
Absolutely. It's about creating that sense of community and support.
Yeah.
Which, let's face it, is crucial during this time.
For sure.
It takes a village, as they say.
It really does. And
Yeah.
it makes me wonder how nesting rituals have evolved over time and across cultures.
Mm.
I mean, imagine what nesting looked like 100 years ago, even 50 years ago.
Oh, I love that thought. I'm sure it was much more focused on like practical skills and traditions passed down through generations.
Right.
Think about midwifery, herbal remedies, community support networks.
Yeah.
These were like essential parts of preparing for a baby.
Right. Back then, nesting wasn't about having the latest baby gadget. It was about having the knowledge and skills to care for a newborn.
Exactly. And while those traditional practices might look different today,
Yeah.
the core principles remain the same,
Okay.
creating a safe and nurturing environment for the baby and the family.
It's like we've modernized the nest, but the instinct behind it is timeless.
Beautifully put. And it highlights how nesting is this dynamic process, constantly evolving to meet the needs of each generation and each family. So we've got this blend of ancient instincts and modern adaptations. But beyond the practical preparations,
Right.
what's happening on an emotional level during nesting?
That's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Think about it. You're on the cusp of this profound life change.
Right.
Your identity is shifting. Your relationships are evolving.
Yeah.
It's only natural to experience this like surge of emotions,
Okay.
from excitement and anticipation to anxiety and even a bit of fear.
And those emotions can manifest in all sorts of ways, right?
Totally.
Some people might become super organized. Others might withdraw a bit.
Yeah.
Some might crave connection. Others might need more alone time.
Exactly. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to nesting.
Right.
It's about honoring your own individual needs and finding what feels grounding and supportive during this time. It's like nesting is this permission slip to tune in to your intuition, to listen to what your body and mind are telling you.
I love that. It's about creating a space both physically and emotionally.
Yeah.
Where you can process those feelings and prepare for the transition ahead.
And the article actually touched on this idea of emotional preparation with a really interesting suggestion:
Okay.
touring the hospital maternity ward.
Oh, yes. I thought that was brilliant. Why do you think they included that on the checklist?
It's not just about knowing where to park or finding the labor and delivery rooms, right?
Right.
It's about familiarizing yourself with the environment, visualizing yourself in that space,
Yeah.
and reducing any anxieties you might have.
It's like nesting in the hospital itself.
Exactly. It's about making that space feel less foreign and more welcoming.
And it's a reminder that nesting is not just about preparing your home.
Huh.
It's about preparing your mindset as well.
Speaking of mindset,
Yes.
there's another aspect of nesting that I think deserves more attention:
Okay.
the letting go part. Because it's not just about bringing new things into your life.
Right.
It's also about releasing what no longer serves you right.
Absolutely. Think about the symbolic act of decluttering, for instance.
Okay.
The article recommends tackling a drawer, a closet, whatever feels manageable.
Yeah.
It's about creating space, both literally and figuratively, for this new chapter.
Totally.
What old habits, beliefs, or even physical items might you need to release to make room for this new identity as a parent?
That's such a powerful way to frame it. It's not just about getting rid of clutter. It's about getting rid of what's holding you back.
Yes.
It's about making space for growth and transformation.
Exactly. And sometimes that letting go process can be challenging.
Yeah.
But it's ultimately so freeing.
Okay, so we've talked about the practical, the emotional, the evolutionary, even the symbolic aspects of nesting. But there's another layer to this whole phenomenon that I find particularly fascinating.
Okay, tell me.
The idea of nesting as a metaphor for life itself.
Oh, I love where you're going with this. Tell me more.
Well, think about it. Life is full of transitions.
It is.
New jobs, new relationships, moves, losses, milestones.
Yeah.
And just like nesting helps us prepare for the arrival of a baby, it can also equip us to navigate those other life changes with more grace and resilience.
That's a brilliant insight. It's like we can tap into those nesting instincts to create a sense of safety and grounding during any period of transition.
Exactly. We can create our own nesting rituals, so to speak,
I like that.
to help us feel more prepared and centered as we navigate those inevitable ups and downs.
So what might those nesting rituals look like? What advice would you give to someone who's facing a big change, even if it's not related to having a baby?
Well, I think it starts with recognizing that preparation is key,
Okay.
both practically and emotionally. Just like we create physical nests for our babies, we can also create metaphorical nests for ourselves.
And how do we build those metaphorical nests?
It's about creating a sense of support,
Okay.
gathering knowledge,
Yeah.
tending to our emotional well-being, and nurturing those connections that make us feel safe and loved. For example, if you're starting a new job, your nesting might involve researching the company, connecting with colleagues, setting up a comfortable workspace,
Yeah.
and maybe even visualizing yourself succeeding in that role.
That's a great example. And it highlights how those nesting principles, preparation, support, self-care, can be applied to so many different situations.
Exactly. It's like we can create a metaphorical nest for any new beginning. A space where we can feel grounded, nourished, and ready to embrace the journey ahead.
But what about when those new beginnings feel more like endings?
Right.
Can nesting help us navigate those challenging transitions as well?
That's such a great question.
Yeah.
And it makes me think about how nesting isn't just about creating new spaces. It's also about honoring the spaces we're leaving behind.
Okay.
It's about acknowledging the grief, the loss, the uncertainty that can come with change.
Right.
Even positive change.
It's like nesting can help us create a sense of closure, a way to process those difficult emotions and move forward with a sense of peace.
Exactly. And just like we declutter our homes during nesting, we can also declutter our hearts and minds.
Yeah.
Letting go of what's no longer serving us.
Right.
And making space for healing and growth.
And that process of letting go can be so powerful.
Yes.
It can free us from old patterns and create space for new possibilities.
Speaking of possibilities,
Yes.
remember that section in the article about baby-proofing?
Yes. It's all about creating a safe environment for your little one to explore and grow.
Yeah, but I have a feeling you see a deeper connection here.
I do. It made me think about how baby-proofing our lives
Yes.
can be a metaphor for setting boundaries and creating this supportive structure for ourselves,
Totally.
regardless of whether we have children or not.
It's about creating a sense of safety and containment, both physically and emotionally.
I love that.
Exactly. It's about identifying potential hazards, setting limits, and putting systems in place to protect our well-being and support our growth.
Yes.
Just like baby gates prevent falls, healthy boundaries prevent burnout.
That's a great analogy. And it reminds us that self-care is not selfish. It's essential.
And it's not just about preventing negative things from happening.
Right.
It's also about creating space for positive things to flourish.
Okay.
Just like we create stimulating environments for our babies to learn and explore,
Yeah.
we can also create environments that support our own passions, creativity, and personal growth.
So true. It's about designing our lives in a way that allows us to thrive,
Yes.
not just survive.
And on that note, I think this is a perfect moment to transition to our outro.
Okay.
and leave our listener with a final, thought-provoking question.
Oh, I love a good cliffhanger to end on. What do you have in mind?
We've talked about nesting in the context of preparing for a baby,
Right.
but as we've explored, those nesting instincts can be applied to so many different aspects of life.
Absolutely.
So here's the question for our listener. How can you incorporate those nesting principles?
Okay.
Creating a supportive environment and gathering knowledge, tending to your emotional well-being, and nurturing those connections that make you feel safe and loved
Yeah.
into your own life, regardless of whether you're expecting a baby or not.
That's a beautiful question. It really invites us to reflect on how we can create a more nurturing and supportive space for ourselves, both physically and emotionally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it reminds us that nesting is not just about babies and nurseries.
Right.
It's about creating a sense of home and belonging wherever we are.
We'd love to hear your reflections, dear listener. Feel free to share your thoughts, insights, and personal nesting rituals as we wrap up our exploration of this fascinating phenomenon.
Until next time, happy nesting. It's amazing how this whole deep dive into nesting has just really opened my eyes to the power of preparation.
Yeah.
Not just for a baby, but for any major life change,
It's true. It's like we've uncovered this hidden blueprint for navigating transitions. Those nesting instincts, they're not just about feathering a physical nest.
Right.
They're about creating a sense of readiness,
Yeah.
both internally and externally.
And the justsiemplymom.com checklist we've been discussing it touches on this idea of mental preparation in some really interesting ways.
Oh, totally.
For example, remember that recommendation about making a list of questions for your doctor?
Oh, that's such a simple yet powerful tool.
Yeah.
It's about taking an active role in your healthcare,
Right.
feeling empowered to ask for clarification
Yeah.
and making sure your voice is heard.
It's like nesting for your peace of mind.
Exactly.
And it made me think about how this proactive approach can be applied to so many other areas of life.
Absolutely. Whether you're negotiating a job offer, planning a big move, or even having a difficult conversation with a loved one.
Right.
That principle of preparing your questions, anticipating potential challenges, and feeling confident in your ability to advocate for your needs.
Yeah.
That's incredibly valuable.
It's like nesting is giving us this permission slip to be proactive,
Totally.
to take charge of our experiences and to feel more in control, even when things feel uncertain.
And that sense of agency, that feeling of empowerment, it's crucial for navigating any kind of transition.
Right.
It allows us to approach challenges with more confidence and resilience.
And speaking of challenges, the article also had a really interesting section about creating a birth plan.
Oh, yeah.
They actually recommend creating 3 different plans, each with varying levels of intervention.
I love that idea. It's acknowledging that birth, like life, is unpredictable.
So true.
Things might not go exactly as planned, and that's okay.
Right.
Having multiple plans allows for flexibility while still honoring your core values and preferences.
It's like having a roadmap with alternative routes,
I like that.
so you can adjust your course without losing sight of your destination.
And it reminds us that sometimes the most important preparation we can do is mental and emotional, It's about cultivating a mindset of acceptance, flexibility, and trust in the process, even when things feel chaotic.
Which brings us back to this idea of nesting as a metaphor for life.
I love it.
Right.
It's about recognizing that we're constantly building and rebuilding our nests.
Yeah.
Both literally and figuratively as we move through different phases and experiences.
Sometimes we're creating nests for new beginnings, like welcoming a baby or starting a new job.
Right.
Other times we're creating nests for healing and restoration, maybe after a loss or a setback. And sometimes we're simply tending to our existing nests, making adjustments, reinforcing the foundations, and creating a space where we can feel safe, nurtured, and loved.
Beautifully said. And it reminds us that nesting is not a one-time event.
Right.
It's an ongoing process.
Yeah.
It's a lifelong practice of creating a sense of home and belonging wherever we are in our journey.
And just like a bird meticulously builds its nest twig by twig,
Yeah.
we can approach our own nest building with that same level of care and intentionality.
What are the materials, both tangible and intangible, that we need to create a truly supportive and nurturing nest for ourselves and those we love?
That's such a great question. I think it starts with identifying our core needs.
Okay.
What makes us feel safe, grounded, and loved?
Right.
Is it spending time in nature, connecting with friends and family, engaging in creative pursuits, prioritizing rest and self-care.
It's about tuning in to our own unique rhythms
Uh-huh.
and creating a space that honors those needs.
Yes.
And sometimes it's about recognizing what needs to be released or let go of
Right.
in order to create space for something new to emerge.
Exactly. Just like we declutter our homes during nesting, we can also declutter our hearts and minds.
I love that.
What old beliefs, habits, or even relationships are no longer serving us? What needs to be cleared away to make room for growth and expansion?
It's about creating that fertile ground, that open space where new possibilities can take root and flourish.
And I think this leads us perfectly to our final thought for our listener.
Okay, what is it?
What is the one thing you can do today, no matter how small, to start building a more supportive and nurturing nest for yourself? Maybe it's decluttering a drawer, setting a boundary, scheduling that doctor's appointment you've been putting off, reaching out to a loved one, or simply taking 5 minutes to breathe and reconnect with yourself.
All great ideas.
Whatever it is, remember that nesting is not just about babies in nurseries. It's about creating a sense of home and belonging wherever we are.
It's about tending to our own well-being, nurturing our connections, and creating a space where we can truly thrive.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into nesting, we invite you to continue the conversation.
Yes.
Share your thoughts, insights, and personal nesting rituals.
We'd love to hear them.
What are some of the ways you've created a sense of home and belonging in your own life?
Until next time, happy nesting.